This is what the journey to planet Earth is all about, is how to recognize how to be here as the immense and comprehensive presence, divine presence that we all are, and how to know that in the pacing and the thought processes and the ways of being that we choose, that we engage in. So here's what I know. You've got the juice to make anything happen, and you know that, right? You've got that. You've proved it time and time and time again. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Art of Awakening podcast, where the art of living awake becomes a daily practice. I'm your host, Dr. Sue Morter, and today we have a very special guest. We have Koya Webb with us here today. And for those of you that might not know her yet, you probably know who she is, but if you don't, she's a globally recognized thought leader, a transformational speaker, holistic well-being expert, and longevity specialist. And she's the founder of Get Loved Up Yoga School and the creator of the lifestyle design method. So we're going to hear about some of these things. That's a powerful approach that helps people create sustainable life shifts rooted in self-love, vitality, and conscious well-being. So Koya has inspired millions around the world through her work in yoga and breathwork and plant-based living, emotional wellness, and holistic health. And she is the author of Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. And her upcoming book, Wellbeing Rituals, Science-Backed Practices for Sustainable Living and Healing. Over the last 2 decades, Koya has guided individuals, organizations, celebrity clients, and global brands toward deeper healing, empowerment, and transformation. Koya, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here and just appreciate the work that you do in the world.
Oh, well, it's my joy to share that work in the world with you. A lot of the same areas of interest have certainly been where I've been dancing for years, working with energies and all of the types of ways that it sounds like you are as well. So I can't wait to dig in a little bit. Now, I know that you journeyed from being a personal trainer into holistic healing and transformational work, and that it's based in self-love, I think is, just amazing and is exactly where humanity needs to learn how to live, um, as a foundation for healing and well-being and transformation. So what can you share with us about your greatest finds in shifting your attention into these areas?
Ugh, that is like the perfect first question because I'm just now realizing over the last couple of months as I finished my book and I did all of this scientific research that the through line to the self-love and the practices and everything is nervous system regulation. And
Mm,
before I had the words for it, my soul was guiding me to regulate. And what I mean by that is that when I was young, I had a very, very intense family dynamic, which caused me to be very hypervigilant and try to self regulate. And to do that, I went to sports, specifically track and field, because I couldn't make the basketball team. And in track and field, that pounding of the pavement, that movement helped me release some of the frustration from the emotional abuse and the things that I experienced. And so I was releasing. Didn't know it was your nervous system regulation. I just knew when I got on that track, I felt good. When I was affirmed because I was winning, I felt good, And so all these things were making me feel good. I had no idea, but I knew I'm gonna keep doing this track thing because I feel good when I do it. I feel like I'm liberated. I feel like I'm getting away from what's bringing me down. Fast forward, I get a full ride, a college scholarship running track and field, and I'm going hard. But guess what? I go so hard and I feel so good doing it. I break my body down because I'm not practicing any boundaries. And so I got a stress fracture in my fourth lumbar, my lower back, and I got sent to the doctor, and they were like, "Yeah, you're going to be out for the season." And I was devastated because this was my scholarship, this was my ticket. And the
mhm.
counselor said, "I think you should try yoga." I'm a tight athlete. I did not feel comfortable. I did not feel bliss. All I felt was pain in that yoga class. And I'm like, oh, where's the bliss? This is not for me. Teacher came to me. She said, even if you don't do any of the poses. I just want you to breathe. I took that inhale and exhale with her, and I felt good. So I stayed and I did the yoga, I did the breath, I did the swimming. Next thing you know, I healed, went back to the track, was ranked 13th in the nation, then moved to California because I'm so close to my Olympic points. I'm going to get into the Olympic Training Center. So what did I do? I went hard again. I focused and I pushed myself. And what happened? I got injured again. And I went back to yoga. This time I'm like, what is this magic about this yoga? So I got certified. I loved it. It changed my life. I feel better and better. I started yoga school because I'm a leader. And why not help everybody with what I learned? That's who I am. It's my human design. Let's go, yoga school. Certify as many people as possible. Build a huge company. Build a huge team of 21 people. And guess what happened? I burnt out again. And so every single time a different way, but this time it was during the pandemic and I was like, I got the yoga, I got the poses, and spirit divinely guided me again into being a breathwork facilitator. So with this, I had focus not on movement, which at that point it was just a regular routine for me, but on deep healing through the breath. And I loved it and I healed. And I was like, now I want to get married and I want to have a house. And I went there. And then let's talk about this brings us all the way up to this last year. Last year was what I felt like the worst year of my life because my mother transitioned unexpectedly. It was the most initiating year of my life because grief hit me like I never felt it before, and I had to use all my tools, and I was guided all the way back to the breath. We breathe every day, but the breath healing and nervous system regulation is where I feel the divine was guiding me 4 years ago. But I had some human desires that I wanted to fulfill until I could return to my purpose and realize this is your next season. This is what you'll be leading into next. And that is really the number one thing, the through line, the thread that weaves all through my life before I even had the language for it was nervous system regulation through breath healing. It's free. We all have access to it, but many of us don't know how to use it to its full capacity when it comes to healing.
So, the relationship between, first of all, wow, that's a lot,
I know.
and this is life. This is what happens.
Yeah.
People have their own versions of the story that you're sharing, and it's the story of humanity waking. It's the story of us recognizing how to put the proper things in priority and to really fulfill in ways that we can't when we're just chasing the goal, chasing the vision all the time. We get out ahead of ourselves and we lose track of all of our resources. And so the things that you were guided back to were literally guiding you back into the true self. And so, this is what the journey to planet Earth is all about: is how to recognize how to be here as the immense and comprehensive presence, divine presence that we all are, and how to know that in the pacing and the thought processes and the ways of being that we choose, that we engage in. So here's what I know. You've got the juice to make anything happen, and you know that, right? You've got that. You've proved it time and time and time again. And so now you're sitting in a place where you're going to allow this integration to be what flourishes. And so I'm just going to ask you, you know, what do you see the relationship between regulating the nervous system and the breath and spirit or the soul interacting? How does all that fit together in your world?
That's a great question too. I firmly believe that breath is spirit. Like breath is our inner connection to it all. And I feel like I was raised Southern Baptist. I believe in the Trinity when it comes to like not energetic beings, but in there is an consciousness, there's a collective consciousness out there that we're all connected to. And then there is humanness, which is us, which is the us in our human form, and then the spirit is the breath, and it's a connection between our human selves and the collective consciousness that we always can tap into. And so I believe as our spiritual self that's connected to this collective consciousness, when I feel all of this is one. Um, but that helps us regulate our breath, which is spirit, helps us regulate our human experience because in our human experience, we don't all have the same human experience. We go through things, we go through grief, we go through breakups, we go through traumatic births, even sometimes people at the beginning of their lives that affect our humanness. And so, what we're came here to do, as you would say, what we're put in this earth to do, we don't have full access to because we're dysregulated by things, by epigenetics, things that have happened in our human experience. And the intention is to not let those things that happen to us control our innate beingness of love and beauty and full expression, basically. But what I've experienced in my life is that as I experience these hits on my humanness. The body is keeping score of every time I experience trauma. And then my body responds trying to keep me safe by building up walls or saying, okay, I'm not good at that, or anything that is all not true, right? Because in my highest form, I can do all things. I'm everywhere at all times. I mean, I know it's a lot for people who are not in that world, but I feel like most of your people are. And when you have the knowingness of how connected you are and how powerful you are, the only thing that can dysregulate you is if you believe something different. And the world is really set up telling us different things all the time on social media, on regular media, like everywhere. There are all these multitude of stories going on. And it's so easy because our friends and our family and everyone's connected. You know, you have the puppet strings, and everyone's in this show that is connected through media and stories and things like that. So, what do you believe? What do you believe? And I think when you get caught up in that, you forget who you truly are. And I believe the breath brings you back. It helps you activate your subconscious if we want to go scientific, and it brings you back to who you truly are. And sometimes the world can make you forget. And so it is my work. My continued work is to help people regulate through the breath, remember who they truly are, so that they can express accordingly.
What do you think is happening with our younger generations that are in the world now trying to figure out who they are and what's going on in the first place? What if they don't know what it means to return to the truth of who I am? Let's say someone in their 20s or their 30s is, struggling, or someone in their teens and their 20s are really trying to figure out what is going on? What's happening here? Because the people in their older, years, in their 80s and 90s or in their 70s are saying, that they thought they had it together and they designed the world to operate the way that they did, and here we are. Then you have people in their 70s and 60s and 50s that are saying, you know, clearly you didn't know and your parents didn't know, because here we are. And then we have people in their 30s and their 40s saying, look what you've left us. How are we supposed to do anything with this? And then we have people in their 20s that are saying, none of you guys know what's going on, and neither do we, because you're the ones who've been trying to show us what's happening. And and look what's happening in the world. Now, I have some opinions about all that, but I just would love to hear, what do you have as advice for young people that are moving into the world? They're going to become the leaders. They are here to truly take the reins and steer things in the direction of wholeness and harmony and some sort of integration and some sort of true well-being that hasn't really landed deeply yet.
I believe for everyone listening, no matter what age you are, it's important to know that we all have the codes. Every single one of us was born, I believe, with an innate purpose. Um, in whatever time we spend on the planet, and it's all interconnected. So no one knows your unique codes except for you, your soul essence. Now, people can be inspiring, people can guide, but I think the thing that's hurt us the most, based on your example from oldest to youngest, as we all want to put it in a book and we want to figure out like we got it. You might have it for that time. Like I had it for when I was, running track and field. I had it. It was yoga. And then when I was doing yoga, I had it. I'm going to build a yoga school and teach everyone. And then I was like, there's something deeper. So for the world is constantly evolving and we're constantly co-creating this mess we got ourselves in. So everyone here in this co-creation is responsible for the healing. And when you are able to tap into your subconscious, your soul's imprint that you got when you were born, when you came through as a human, if you can tap into that, you will be in alignment. No one person is meant to figure it out. We're meant to work together, using our gifts together to make this world a beautiful place. That is what I truly believe. And I don't feel like there is any answer in any one book because the world is constantly evolving. So, as soon as, again, books are great for inspiration and divine guidance and to help us tap into new ways of thinking and new thoughts. It's great for mindset work. But when it really comes down to it, we have to teach people how to be sovereign, self sovereign. We have to teach people how to be liberated because when they tap in, they got the codes that you don't have and I don't have. But we have beautiful codes and we're living in alignment with our codes. But we need everyone to tap into their codes because all of us together, if we say all of us are one, then all of us are one. And if one person is dysregulated, that is dysregulating the frequency on the planet. And it is my mission to ignite as many people as possible so that we can all be dialed into our highest expression. And I believe that will create a ripple effect and make the world a healthier place to live in.
Mhm. So when you say codes, can you define what you mean by codes?
Absolutely. So when I say codes, it's like our innate purpose. Meaning, so when you wake up, your purpose for the day or your intention for the day could be to, take a shower, maybe do a little work, maybe do a couple things in your day and then go to bed. That's your intention for the day. Well, I feel when we are born, there's an intention on our life, like a spiritual intention that's connected to being what the world needs to evolve. And that intention, that innate spiritual intention is what we all have an opportunity to tap into. But unfortunately, because we're not taught this in school, we're taught numbers and we're taught how to function in the world versus how to function as our highest self. But when you see people taking their children out in nature instead of to school, they do homeschooling and they teach them nature and connected with nature because the nature has all the, I say codes, but they have the intentionality. And if you look at day and night, if you look at nature and seeds and how things grow, then you actually learn a lot about yourself versus if you just go straight to school and you look at numbers and you're taught like how to make money and how to do things, it's not connected to nature. So there's a disconnect. So we have to teach children, to answer your previous question, at a young age, how to spend time in nature, how to connect with nature. My background is Native American and African American. So in those cultures, we highly concentrate on relationship with nature and talking to trees and honoring the plants because we know they have the healing power, they have the solutions to anything we might face in our humanness and our human journey.
And so, can you give an example of a moment where nature settled you or allowed you to find more of this codified version of you, to find your true voice, your true place, your true essence?
Absolutely. I feel like it happens all the time, like almost every day when I go out. But one profound time that recently happened within the last year, since, after my mom's transition, I was in the backyard talking to some friends and I never saw this before, but a black butterfly appeared. and I was fascinated by it, and it came right by and it landed on my shoulder. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are y'all seeing this?" And I'm freaking out. I'm like, "This butterfly's on my shoulder." And then it flew off, and I was like, "Did y'all see that?" And I was so excited, and it came back and it landed again. And I'm like almost in tears now. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is so profound." And it fluttered off, and I was like, "Y'all, I can't believe this butterfly came and landed on my," and then it came back again. And I got chills all over my body, and I was like, "It's my mom." And in that moment, it meant a lot to know that she was here with me. And I never have seen a black butterfly again in my backyard, and I'd never seen it before. But the symbolism of a black butterfly is profound transformation. And I share it in the beginning of my book because it was so profound. So I looked up the meaning and I really embodied my full transformation. And when my mom transitioned, she left me a lot of insight. And at first it was overwhelming, but once I was able to put that insight together, I was able to see my next path in life very clearly. And that's a way that nature kind of gave me the sign that you are being divinely guided, you're in the right place, you're the right time, and it was just the exact sign that I needed to keep moving forward and know that
Mm,
my mom was here with me.
beautiful. I've certainly had similar experiences that are just uncanny, just really nearly impossible, that demonstrate that the veil is really not there, and we can live straight through these limitations that we have perceived as veils, separating us from our beloveds or any other part of creation truly. Can you describe any of the felt sensations in your body that you were having when you connected the dots that this butterfly is here again and now it's coming back again, and that there's a relationship here with my mother and there's some communion or connection that is happening? What happened inside of you physiologically that allowed you to anchor what you were experiencing? Anything that you could share with our listeners?
Absolutely. The thing that I felt and that I always feel when things are profound or I feel like this is a direct message from God or the divine is when I get full body chills. And so I felt excited and then I felt joy, and then on that 3rd time, it was full body chills, and that's the same thing I felt in the first day of my yoga class when I took that deep breath, full body chills. That lets me know I'm in the right place, in the right time, and I'm being divinely guided and protected, and I just got full body chills now. When I say it, it's like a spiritual yes, you got it, and I just love
Mhm.
when I get that feeling because I know, like, all right, I'm not distracted by the million things my analytical brain wants to think. I'm grounded in spirit. And for a person that is equally spiritual and emotional and equally analytical, like someone just explained that to me why I feel so dichotic. Well, it is my human design. And I was a person finally showed me that. And I think it's really important when you do have a dichotic personality to allow spirit to be the lead every single time. And that full body chill, that's spirit.
And so, what happens with your breath in the midst of those chills?
Well, sometimes usually it's after I've taken a breath. So that first one, after I take the breath, like I feel it and it's either half or sometimes like, now when I feel the chills, it's going to about my hips, right? And maybe because I'm sitting down, but when I really feel it, a full body yes, it goes all the way from my head all the way to my toes.
Mhm. And so, if you are having a sensation like that, are there thoughts of its particular nature that come forth in those same moments that have any commonality or common ground? Is there a systematic way that thoughts get involved when you have these chills? You have a breath that's filling the whole body. You know of a connection between the veils, and you're right here. Are there thoughts that tend to accompany that kind of a moment?
For me, no. For me, if there are thoughts, it means I'm out of the moment. It's like when I feel the breath, I just surrender. And I know a channel is gonna come. I know a down like I remember when I was writing my first book, we had this get loved up prayer and it just came so fast. I pulled the car over and I was just writing as fast as possible. I have chills all over while I'm telling you this story, but I'm never gonna forget. Like it was one of the longest downloads. Well, just recently I got another one just like that, and I wrote my entire journal. That was amazing. But when it happens, it's a channel. It means I need to keep breathing and get somewhere to transmute the message because it means profound messages are coming. And it's like you said, I never use that wording, but I like the wording you use. The veil is lifted. I think I'm gonna adopt that because the veil is lifted, meaning I'm closer to divine alignment. And that's what I call it. Divine alignment is when you feel that the energy, the breath, it all aligns. There's no thought, there's just experience, there's just awareness. And, as long as I can hold it without thinking, the better.
Yes. So when you say channel, what are you from what to what? What is the nature of the channel?
For me, a channel is from the collective consciousness into my brain, right? Because it's already in my soul and my soul is connected to the consciousness, but it's this knowingness, this innate knowingness that's inside and then also outside. And there's communicating that with my brain that has a trillion other thoughts in it because of my humanness. So when I get the channel, which is the veil is lifted, divine alignment, direct connection, and I'm listening. I'm not so dysregulated and distracted, I can't hear. I am actually at that one time, I'm in a yoga class, channel. The other time, I was listening to very powerful music in my car, channel. The time when I was in my backyard, I was experiencing joy and peace back by the pool, just hanging out, channel. So if I look at the common thread, it's like when I'm in this place of peace, I'm in this place of receptivity. And that's why I practice yoga. That's why I practice meditation and those things. But it can happen at any time that, you know, like I said, I like your the veil is lifted or anytime you're available for divine alignment, it can happen. And some people know how to do it all of the time, just like we run or we practice meditation, or I truly believe every time I practice breath healing, I feel that alignment in some level. There are different levels to it. Sometimes it's a full download and sometimes it's just like a message, a quick message, but it's always very profound.
Mhm. So when you're not channel, what are you?
Well, I'm just hoping I can survive, you know? So when I'm not channeling, I'm usually living somewhere in between my human desires and my spiritual self, because I
Mhm.
do believe that, again, my spirit knows exactly my highest expression. And so hopefully I'm living in alignment with that. But my mind could be thinking about, someone's birthday or my husband or anything that has to do with this life I've created and the life I've chosen to live and keeping
Mhm.
that in alignment with what my humanness desires. And then there's a spiritual side that doesn't care about any of that. It just cares about fully expressing and living its highest potential. So sometimes they're kind of at war with each other because I'm so distracted with this life I've created that I can be a little bit out of alignment with my spiritual mission. And that's where I have to come back every single day and make sure that I'm aligned and that I don't get so caught up in my human desires that I miss my spiritual purpose.
Right. I feel that it's all one thing, actually. I feel that it's one long continuum from the heavens to here, from source to self. And so spirit and your divinity and your humanity are really part of a continuum. And I feel like we move into our humanity and get into the chaos and get and follow all the desires and do all the things. And then we draw back into our stillness, our divinity, that true self. And then we emerge out into our humanity and we infuse our divinity into our humanity and we're working with life in a divine manner. You would call that channel. I get it totally. And moving in and out of that is how I see our purpose of being here. It's not like we're on the wagon and we fall off the wagon and we get back on the wagon and we fall off the wagon. That actually, when we're falling off the wagon, we're actually doing the work because it's your divinity that's going into your humanity. You follow what I'm saying? It's your divinity that's just going into being a human being and getting all caught up in the hubbub, in the chaos, in the what have you. And I think that in those moments, we're actually bringing divinity into those moments, even if we don't know that's what we're doing. And what we're awakening to is the fact that that's what we're always doing, that the whole darn thing is divine. The whole thing is grace. The whole thing is beauty. And so, I share that because, what if we could take all of your fire and your passion and your clarity and your intentionality in life and allow it to completely embrace the fact that you're never not divine. And oh my gosh, what you would do in the world with your power and your presence, by spreading that word, it's it's an amazing thing. And you talk about the dichotomy, you talk about the two versions of self. What if it's our job? What would you think about this? What if it's our job to have both of those parts, but have them be functioning in collaboration with each other, not in opposition to one another? But it's because of one, the other gets to do its thing more fully, more freely, more ultimately completely. How's that feel to you?
It feels like it feels like in a moment where, you have that transition, right? Where we're spiritual beings and we're coming into this human experience. And that feels aligned in my consciousness. Where I feel like I view a little bit differently is that when we are I do agree that it's all part of it, and there is no bad and good. There's isness, and things are happening because we co-create them. I believe even the darkness has its purpose. So it's a bit aligned with what you're saying, but a little bit different because the joy, the happiness, the bliss is powerful, and so is the grief, the sadness, the sacred rage, and the anger. To me, both of those are powerful, and I see them as both a part of the collective. I believe when we're experiencing more fear, sadness, grief, disconnection, that's letting us know that we're not fully in alignment with our humanness. But I do agree that our humanness is always whole, I'm sorry, our spiritual self, our spiritual essence. And when I say our humanness, I say that because it's like our body can have hurt, our body can have pain. But what I just learned in writing my book, what I just tell is that our soul is whole and complete, unfragmented, and it always is and it always will be. What can take hits as we come into this human body is our vessel, like our human body, our nervous system, our aura. They have we get affected differently based on what we experience in our lifetime. And the reason this is really important to me is because we live in a world where systems are set up, and those systems are not all in favor of oneness. Those systems are set up for different reasons that are not, I believe, fully in alignment with our highest and greatest, fullest expression on this earth for everybody. And I feel like when we look at that, we have to note, how can I live in this world with these systems that are not for humanity and tap into my soul that is for humanity and let that be birthed into the world? And so I feel like what we're seeing now, even though all these killings and things like that, it's saying, hey, wake up. Things are so far away from that soul essence of all of us that we are witnessing dysregulation in the world. And if we can come back to our individual connection with our soul, to me, that is solution to dysregulation on the outside. And so in that way, even though, like, if I say there's no bad or good, but there is alignment and misalignment, there is regulation and dysregulation. I do think we have to have language for things that are on different ends of that spectrum. And so that's where I would want to dive deeper with you and understand, like, how can we honor the fact that yes, it is all connected, and we can say it is all love, it is all God, it is all consciousness. But when we're talking to a person that's like, I'm not okay, and I'm so not okay that I don't understand anything y'all are talking about, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely. And actually, I think that we are saying the same thing. So somehow something's gotten lost in translation along the way. I am saying that where we are in our humanity is actually where the grit of our divinity gets to infuse and to generate transformation. That's how it happens. It happens right there. So it's not about good and bad. It's about, I feel that we come into this dimension to expand consciousness, to bring unity consciousness into the duality and into the chaos. And so it's inside of those moments that we're sort of leaving it better than we found it. And in the process of doing so, we evolve ourselves on a spiritual level. The soulful self is evolving itself more back toward pure spirit while we're here in this domain. And so everything is serving everything in this way. So I think that we're saying
The
the same
only
thing. We're just
difference is
saying it
I don't feel
in
like the soul evolves. I feel like the soul is already whole and complete and clear on exactly is connected to the collective consciousness. I believe our humanness evolves to align with our soul. I think that's the only, but I think everything else is the same, but that's the only
okay.
difference.
So so when in the ancient writings, when they would say that something restoreth my soul or evolves the soul or takes the soul to higher levels, I feel that it's moving the soul back to pure spirit expression, that the soul, there is a soulful evolution. I mean, in every ancient text, in the Vedics, in the Upanishads, and in the ancient texts that I have read and studied for the last 25 years, there is an evolution to the soul. So it is in its perfect expression, but I do feel that it too is
And
evolving,
I
and
believe that
that we're out here.
evolution is awareness. It's n
Yes, awakening, that the soul is awakening to more and more of the truth of who it is, just as the personality is evolving and awakening to more and more of the truth of who it is, which is actually a derivative of the soul. You know, I mean, this is a conversation that's been debated for millennia, and I'm really looking for, um, how do we help people who are already aware of the distinction between the personality and the soulful self? And how do we help people that are truly here in a soulful evolution? They're here evolving themselves on the soulful level, awakening and awakening and awakening to the fact that they were the spirit that chose to come and that is arising here at this soulful expression and trying not to get diverse or dispersed and splatted out onto the level of the personality in the lonely life and the separate self that gets generated from that, and to draw themselves back onto the soulful essence and allow that soulful presence to live integrated into more and more different life experiences. And as such, it becomes better at being here as pure spirit without dispersing into a personality that gets dysregulated in a nervous system. It's like way down the line that is happening. So I think that we're talking about the same things. It's just where are we on the spectrum of the whole that we're referencing when we have the conversation. I'd really love for you to speak about plant-based living and what you're doing in that department to allow for vitality and the fuel that is required to even be able to maintain such an orientation in life and to move forward in all ways possible for whatever is evolving in our lives, whether it's a personality or a soul or a spiritual presence on this planet. What role do you feel that nutrition is playing in that big picture?
That's such a good question. I'll answer your first question too. I feel like the solution is us having these conversations, like two women very passionate about, spirituality. The more we talk about the nuance, because I feel like things can get lost in the nuance and wording and understanding. And even if, you think a certain way and I think a certain way, and there's similarities and there's differences, that's what's so beautiful. And I think what
Mhm.
happens is some people separate that, okay, they think of that way, so they're over there and we're over here, and I think that's what causes the disconnect. And so I'm
Yeah.
glad that we can have this conversation and talk about the nuances, like what of what is happening with our spiritual essence. Um, and
Yeah,
then
I totally agree. Some people are here, they have a certain curriculum, and other people have a different curriculum. Everybody has their own, what I call it's a bus stop conversation. It's sort of like soul contracts that are they're playing out because of where we are in our own awakening. And and so in that process, of course, speaking across any of those areas of a diversity that we experience as an entire humanity is the only way for us to help each other and to live and support each other, because one person's journey is completely different than another's. And so we can't ask, Jane can't ask Betty to do it her way because Betty's here to do something different. But, what we definitely agree upon is that, in all of these states, that it's an evolution that is taking place. And if we can embrace that all things that are happening in my life are serving my own awakening, my own evolving, then I think that we begin working with life in a way that serves everything. We embrace the things that are happening. We don't try to push away from them. We don't try to escape them. We lean into them for understanding. We recognize that it's all about my own consciousness and what I'm here to awaken to. And it's not about pointing fingers about who's right and who's wrong and all, because quantum science is certainly showing us that everything that is happening in our life is a reflection of what is happening internally that we can't see. So we project it onto this movie screen and we walk into this movie. So, but what we do know is that everyone's purpose is to evolve from the place that they have been to a place of greater understanding, greater awakening. That's why we come.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And then to answer your second question about my plant-based journey, it's very profound as well. Like I wasn't raised plant-based. I ate everything and all the processed food and all the snacks and all the things. And it was actually part of my yoga journey that I became vegetarian and I started reading more about the impact of food on the body. And also in college, I studied exercise science, and I was very interested in how anything and everything impacts the body, impacts the mind, and things like that. And so, as I went deeper into my studies and I started reading more, I realized that, wow, like food, what we do every single day, sometimes, 2 to 3 times a day, has such a big impact. Let me look deeper into this. And as I studied, I was eating a lot of, pasta and a lot of things with gluten and things like that. And I used to cough a lot and have a lot of congestion. So, first book I read that really changed my life was the mucusless diet. And I started cutting out a lot of the gluten from my diet. And I saw results. So I was like, oh, okay. And I kept reading. I read the Rainbow Green Life Food Cuisine, and I read about how the eating animals was negatively affecting not only our health, but also the planet. And I was like, really? I mean, but everybody's eating animals. What are you talking about? And so as I went deeper, I was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. And since I'd been through yoga, I'm like, my intention is to cause the least amount of harm. I know I'm causing harm to the world or affecting the world in a certain way just by being here, but how can I exist in my fullness and cause the least amount of harm to other humans, to animals, and to the planet, to nature? And as I did my studies and looked at the documentaries, I realized starting a plant based diet was that. And I started off, again, cut out chicken first, then cut out turkey. And then it was just fish and eggs for a while. I was like lacto-ovo vegetarian. And my biggest fear was I wasn't going to get enough protein. And that's the reason I kept the fish and eggs in. And then I met an athlete who he was completely vegan for 4 years, and he was the most ripped and fit athlete. And I'm just like, how do you do it? And he really told me that amino acids are in plants and how to eat them properly. I end up getting a certification with IIN and also plant-based certification with Cornell. And I really understand now what food is actually doing to the body energetically and how it's giving, how it's taking away. And so that's what led me to a plant-based journey. I've actually been plant-based vegan for over 21 years now. And some of those years was healthy, some of them were unhealthy. And now I don't think about perfection with anything. I think it's about being purposeful. And so I am 100% vegan, but I will have a vegan burger, a vegan pizza. I will eat processed vegan food sometimes. But there were some times in my life I was like 100% raw vegan and all natural, organic, everything. And now I'm like in a balance to where I eat as healthy as I can most of the time. But if I'm going out, if I'm traveling, I'm going to have fun and, make sure it's vegan.
Ah, beautiful. And so, what about our listeners who choose not to be vegan? What would you recommend for them?
I think the most important thing, no matter what you decide to eat or not eat, is that you feel good about yourself. Again, we're always constantly evolving. Who knows what the world would be like tomorrow or next year? The most important thing is that everything you put in your mouth, that you honor it. There are some people who don't eat animals and they are not happy people and not happy with themselves or anyone else in the world. And I feel that makes me sad. There are some people who eat meat like my grandma like every day in her life, and she's like in her 90s. And there are going to be some people. I don't think the quality of life is based on what you eat, but I do believe that if you're eating more plant-based, you're causing less harm. If you're eating more plant-based and less animals, then the things that are contained in the animal consumption, the stress, the acidity, some of those things, you bifurcate that. You don't have to deal with that. So I noticed me being plant-based, it was what I was eliminating that I ate even with the animals, because we all don't have access to the highest quality. And again, with my Native American background, my ancestors honored the animals. They prayed over the animals. They used every part of the animal. So that type of animal consumption is different than what we see today, which is abusing the animal, neglecting the animal, raping the animal, pumping the animal full of hormones, and then we consume that. So I really believe it's more a personal choice, whatever you decide to eat, but I want people to know what they're subscribing to when they choose to eat from a farmer's market versus a regular grocery store or a fast food joint. What they're eating when they get it from their neighbor or the local people, and if they get it from, a convenience store. And I think that's what's most important is people know what they're eating, they know where it's coming from, they know the impact, and they feel good about that choice.
Hmm. Yeah, very good. What can you tell us about your new book?
Oh, I'm so excited about well-being rituals because it really does take like everything that I've learned in the last 25 years. I started my journey 25 years ago, and I just wanted to put everything in one place. And I truly believe ritualizing your life as best as you can, doing the things in your life that feel good to you, the way you eat, the way you connect with others, the way you look at your finances, the way you connect with God, the way you connect with your emotions and your mindset. All of this it should be honored, not judged. Like the way that I live is not the way you live, and that's okay. But I can live a beautiful life and you can live a beautiful life. So I hope with my book, Wellbeing Rituals, people take it as inspiration and they design a life that really makes them feel good from the inside out. And no matter what another person could come and say, they feel steady and grounded in their choices. And if someone presents them something and they say, hey, maybe I want to think about that differently, or maybe I want to try something differently, then they take that on versus feeling judged and shamed. So I hope that I'm able to do that. I tried to make sure the book was trauma informed and for everybody, whether you choose to live similar to me or completely different. I wrote the book in a way that everyone should feel seen and honored and loved. And I hope that that message that really resonates with everyone who picks it up.
Yeah, beautiful. And where can people pick it up?
You can pick it up everywhere books are sold. We're in, I guess actually you can pick it up anywhere because we're in pre-order now. But when this podcast comes out, you're going to be able to pick it up physically after June 16th. But before then, if you pre-order, I got a lot of fun little goodies that I'm sliding in there just to say thank you.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. And also other ways that people can connect with your work, et cetera. And we'll share this in our show notes. But would you like to mention anything else?
Absolutely. KoyaWebb.com is where you can go and see all the things that I'm up to. I'm also Koya Webb, KoyaWebb, on all the social media channels, Instagram and YouTube and all the things. And I just invite people, if you like short things, do a 7-day breath healing experience with me. If you like longer things, do a 21-day regulating exercise with me and just see the effect it has on you versus taking my word for it. I invite people to dive into an experience based on what you want to devote to and experience it for yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Koya, for being here with us today and for sharing your heart and your mind, your body, and your soul. And the full-on spirit of you, Koya Webb, is just it's igniting and so so passionate. So anytime there's that kind of passion, we know that we're lighting up deep within when we engage. So thank you so much for bringing that to our group today. And I also want to thank all of you that are here with us on The Art of Awakening. Thank you for spending your time with us today, where we're blending science and spirituality to create a life that you truly, truly love living. So until next time, I'm Dr. Sue Morter. Blessings, blessings to you all.